This is going to be a controversial comment, and this is going to make some people mad, and some people might laugh at this. But there's a meme of a fox, like an awkward fox sitting on a chair. And with that awkward fox, there was the original concept of Sonic in that same meme. And it was like Sonic the Hedgehog 2. And in this movie, when I saw Tails, there's certain times because the fur looked so like it was done really good for CGI. But the fur on Tails reminded me of the awkward fox, and every time I look at Tails, I will think of that. It didn't distract from the movie, it just made me think of something that I was mad at a meme did it first. But this is my review for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. What's up, world? Welcome to the episode we break down. I'm your host, Ali Zakka. And before I get started, is a movie you want me to review? Let me know. Please put in the comment section below and I get to it as best I can. Also Patreon, patreon.com/Ali Zakka. And on that Patreon for $2 a month, you get to cut in front of everybody to review. I'll wait for it to come on Facebook and YouTube. You also get comments, trade reactions, trade reviews, and kind of discussions on there too. So if you wanted me to review something earlier before I get it on Facebook and YouTube, Patreon's where to go. Now let's go ahead and get into today's review of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from the year 2022. This first half of the review is going to be non-spoiler free, and then in the second half of the review I will let you know we'll have spoilers. So, what is Sonic the Hedgehog 2 about? Well, it's about Sonic trying to learn how to be a superhero, and at the same time Eggman comes back from an obscure planet that he was trapped on, and he brings a guy named Knuckles. So Eggman and Knuckles are teaming up to take down Sonic, and that is pretty much the gist of Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from the trailers. And also you have a little side plot there that you see in the trailer where, what's her name? And it is, give me a moment here, not Tika Sumter, but Natasha Rothwerl's character Rachel, who was in the first movie. She's at a wedding and she doesn't want Tom, who is James Marsden's character, to ruin the wedding. And of course, because Tom and Sonic kind of ruined Rachel's place in the first movie, it also ties into this movie as well. That is pretty much the gist of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. I enjoyed this movie. I really did. It is a kids movie, I will say that. So you're looking at this, don't go in here looking like, well, it's gotta be like MCU level, or it's going to be like the, DC level or the Sonyverse. No. Like, this is a kids movie. This movie is letting you know this is a kids movie. But it's also not just a kids movie. It's also a movie for gamers. This is a gamer movie as well. You're a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog, you're going to love this movie because this movie does something better than the first one. It actually brings in characters from the Sonic universe, and you actually get to see them on the big screen and get to realize them. Like, I grew up watching Sonic X. That was the cartoon anime that I watched on Saturday mornings, and the characters that I got used to was seeing it from Sonic X, like Knuckles and Tails, who are both in this movie, who are both in the trailers. Seeing on the big screen was like actually pretty legit, and I was actually like pretty not surprised, but pleased with that. I was like, cool. And it wasn't to the point where the movie was like talking down to the audience or dumbing it down for the kids. No, like, this movie is a goofy, fun kids movie that's also for gamers. Like, I enjoyed this movie. I had a good time, and the story to me was a little more original. The first movie with Sonic the Hedgehog, I was like, it's something we all seen before. It's a road trip movie, a buddy road trip movie that we've seen before. Nothing about it was original or different. The scenes with Sonic running super fast and slowing it down remind you of, the Quicksilver from the X-Men movie. So nothing about that movie was really unique. It was just a solid movie that was, I feel like, an average movie. It was solid. I gave it a C or C+. With this one changes a little bit. It starts off like a movie that you might have seen before. Like, I was sitting there like, oh, here we go again. We're going down this whole pathway, the origin story of the superhero thing. We're going down this path. And then somewhere in the middle of the movie, it flips into a whole different movie that you're like, this is original. I'm down with this. I enjoyed this. Like, what I liked in this movie was the story, how it was a little more original than the first one. Like, the first one dragged you in, and the second one here kind of got the audience, like, get the world built out, get the things laid down, the groundwork. Now let's go ahead and start adding on that. I like that. I actually like that. The CGI, it was good. There's certain times in the movie though where the CGI seemed off, or there's certain things, maybe because of the theater I was watching it in, where I seen things where I was like, I'm not sure the edit was right there, but it was good. I enjoyed the CGI. It didn't look bad. It looks like it followed the first movie. I think CGI was solid. The jokes in this movie, there are jokes. And then there are things in the movie that I laughed at I probably shouldn't laugh at. Maybe because it's just ridiculous at one point. But there are jokes in this movie. Some jokes are funny. Some jokes are dated, I would say. Or like of this time. Like these jokes probably won't hit 10 years from now. Just because of what's going on with current events. There are a lot of pop culture jokes in this. Current event jokes in this. Like... You see in the trailer, Sonic goes, "Oh look, the Winter Soldier," to make you think that like, hey, you know, the MCU is only available on TV, and Sonic has watched all the MCU movies, so he knows who the Winter Soldier is. It's like there's pop culture stuff all throughout this movie, but at the same time, there are like things that are happening that's not just pop culture. That things are like actual lore in the Sonic universe, so it evens out. So you're somebody who's not a fan of like pop culture references, you're not going to really find some of the jokes funny, but you're okay with some of them, you will. You will find the jokes funny. The cast. I actually like the actors in the cast. I thought they did a good job in this movie. Nothing about them seemed really over the top. He is in the trailer. Shamar Moore is in this movie, and it threw me off for a moment. I was like, how did Shamar Moore get into a Sonic the Hedgehog 2 movie? And then when you learn about who he is, I was like, that makes perfect sense. He does not change his character no matter what he's doing. He is the same type of character and all his stuff. Perfect sense. I am fine with that. Now, things I didn't like. I feel like Jim Carrey was over the top at certain times. Like, in the first one, he was fine. And this one, I know he's probably a little more crazy and kookier. But I feel like he was super over the top in this movie. And it's not that I didn't like him. It's just that it's like, some of the stuff Jim Carrey was doing in this movie didn't really hit for me. I don't know. I feel like Dr. Eggman in this movie, Dr. Robotnik in this movie wasn't as solid as he was in the first one. Then again, Jim Carrey was stuck on the island, or stuck on a planet, so take that as you want. And then there is a Star Wars like section of this movie where like the movie pretty much goes away from the main storyline and does something else, and you're like, how did this happen? For example, the pod racing scene in episode 1 where they go off on the pod racing, and in episode 8 it is the gambling plan they went on. Like, this movie has a scene, probably about 15-20 minute segment of the movie where they branch off, and it's not about Sonic, Tails, or Knuckles. It is all the humans, and it's just like, we didn't really need this in this movie. It felt like a setup to something bigger. And I'll talk about that in the spoilers. Any other thoughts before I get into the cast and crew? No, that's about it. That is about it. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the director, cast, and crew here. This movie, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, is 2 hours and 2 minutes long. I didn't feel like it was 2 hours and 2 minutes long. I did check my watch to see where it was at in the movie because I wanted to know like what's the next step going on here. And when I looked at my watch, I was an hour and 33 minutes in. I was like, wow, that first hour flew. So it doesn't feel as long as it seems. The director is Jeff Fowler, and the writers are Pat Casey, Josh Miller, and John Wintington. They did the screenplay. The stars of this movie, Ben Schwartz as Sonic. I thought he did good. I thought he did a good job voicing Sonic. Sonic in this movie is going through his own little moment of trying to be a hero and do things to be like action-packed and heroic, and want to be like this, considered a hero, and come to find out like he has to learn about responsibility in this movie. That's what Sonic's got to learn about in this movie, and that's what I meant. Like, it seems, I'll talk more about this in spoilers, but it seems more like a generic superhero movie when you have a character who doesn't know much about responsibility. You got to learn responsibility. But then the movie turns into a movie about family and friendship towards the end of the movie. So it sounds but the writing for it and the storyline for it is a lot better, more original than what the actual premise of it is, the message behind the movie. If you want to get this movie, say this movie has a message, that's the whole superhero trope that you get in a lot of superhero movies. But Sonic was great. I enjoyed Sonic, and there's a thing I'm talking about in the spoiler section that a lot of gamers would know about Sonic ability, and I'm gonna talk about that in the spoiler. That had like a moment I felt like could have been done better, but Sonic overall was solid. I enjoyed Sonic in this movie. But before I jump to the next character, I do want to say Sonic does bring the pop culture reference as well in this movie, and it's hit or miss just as well. It's hit or miss just as well. Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik, Dr. Eggman. Jim Carrey is over the top in this movie. He is super, super over the top. More than the first movie. His character's, like, he's pretty much crazy in this point in this movie. Like, he's over the top, ridiculous, and just obsessed with power. And wants to be a power-hungry ruler of the universe. That's pretty much Jim Carrey. He is your generic villain at this point in this movie. Has what Dr. Robotnik has fallen to. Like I said, the line delivery for Jim Carrey in this movie, like his acting line delivery, but not the acting, but the writers, the script they gave him for Dr. Robotnik was just, it seemed a little over the top, and then Jim Carrey delivered those lines. Like, I get he's crazy, but to me, it's a little over the top for me. But as a villain, I think Jim Carrey is solid. I like his first iteration of Dr. Robotnik better than this one, but you know what? It makes sense how Robotnik got there, and Jim Carrey did a great job portraying how Robotnik could be this wacky, crazy, over-the-top character. So I am completely okay with that. I just feel like some of the reference, pop culture reference that the writers gave Carrey to put into this movie for this character just didn't work well for me. But for a kid, they will love this stuff. Kids will eat this stuff up. Idris Elba as Knuckles. Awesome. I think Idris Elba brings Knuckles to life. His voice works so well. And Knuckles is straight edge, serious character. He's the serious one in the story. He is the serious one. Nobody else. He is the serious one. The one and only serious character. Serious, super serious, super serious. Super serious. Nothing goes over his head. He'll catch it. Like a thesaurus. Anyway, yeah, I love Idris Elba's character, and I love the arc that Knuckles has in this movie. I love that Knuckles goes through an arc just like Sonic goes through an arc. So he's the villain or the antagonist in this movie, and I like the fact that he also has a moment and learns about things as well. Then you have Colleen O'Shaughnessy who plays Tails. I thought she did great. I thought she did a good job voicing Tails. I heard that she voiced Tails in the video game, and I think her voice works for Tails perfectly. Like, I didn't feel like any different. Matter of fact, it kind of reminds me of Tails from Sonic X. Like, I think she did a good job voicing Tails. And Tails in this movie, he is kind of like a fanboy. He saw Sonic in the first movie, and he pretty much been following Sonic this whole time, and he came in, like you see in the trailer, to warn Sonic of what could come. So that's what he's in here for, and he's pretty much like Sonic's partner in crime in this movie. That's what Tails is. James Marsden, who played Tom, he was pretty much the mentor character in this movie. He is the one to kind of give advice to Sonic in this movie. At the same time, he also has his own little storyline where he's trying to be a better, I guess, yeah, he is married, so be a better brother-in-law to Rachel, who is Natasha Rothwerl. And let's go and talk about Rachel. Natasha Rothwerl, who plays Rachel in this movie, this is Natasha's movie. This is her moment to shine for the human characters in this movie. She got put more to the forefront. She's doing the most. She is being the most comical and over-the-top character, and it works. It works in this movie. There's times I was laughing at her stuff because, like, she's just ridiculous. Like, to me, it worked. Natasha did a good job being Rachel in this movie, and I'm down to see Rachel in another movie, as well as Tom and also Tika Sumpter's character, Maddie. I thought she was great, and she's kind of like the one to kind of keep everything together as well. Like, the voice of reason, like she was in the first one, and then she's here that in the second one too. Like, she makes everybody feel like a family. She makes Sonic and Tom feel like a family. Maddie wraps it up. Those three, you can see the chemistry with those three, and that's good writing for Sonic, Tika, and James to make those three look like legit characters and feel like a legit family. But the first movie established that, and this movie you just add on to it. I think it's great. Shamar Moore, who plays Randall, he's in this movie. I was surprised. I think he did a good job in this movie. I'm gonna let you name it, bro. Lee Maddow, who played Agent Stone, he's back in this movie. He's one of my favorite parts in the first one, and I thought he was kind of cool to see in his movie. He doesn't have much of a part in this one, like he does have a part, but he's not on the screen as much as the other movies. Any other thoughts? Not really. No, I don't have any other thoughts about this movie. The music is solid. Like the music score in this movie is fine. Like it's not gonna be anything to write home about. It's not gonna be like, oh my gosh, I gotta play the soundtrack. But it works for this movie. The CGI I think is solid. I think the CGI was good. And besides the whole meme I saw with Tails and fake, I guess the original Sonic concept, it's fine. I think the CGI works in this movie and works perfectly well. The only thing I'm worried about this movie is that in the future, when it comes time to watch this movie 10 years from now, and you're somebody like, let me show you the Sonic movie, will we all look at this movie as like a solid movie? Like, is this gonna be like a standstill classic, or the references in the movie gonna be outdated and you're just like, oh, that's kind of cringy? Like, there's part of the movie that's cheesy for me, but this also, once again, let me reiterate this, it's a kid's movie first, with video gamers in mind second. So I think the kids will enjoy this movie. I think any kid watch this movie, they will get the references, they will love this movie. Matter of fact, I was in theaters with a bunch of parents and their kids. The only guy there watching it by himself, but I'm doing a review series of it. So I think this movie works as a kids movie, and then the gamers will have things to take home with it as well. So I think everybody will be pleased with this movie. If you're somebody who's looking at this movie like the scope of like, I gotta look at it like an MCU movie or a Sony movie or a super serious Marvel movie, you're gonna be disappointed because it's not that kind of movie. Alright, is this a movie you should see in theaters? Yeah, go watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2 in the theaters. I think you would have a good time with this movie. And then you have little siblings that you want to take with you, or family members you want to take with you, nieces and nephews, whatever the case. Take them to see this movie. I think they'll have a good time as well. And grading time. I'm going to grade the movie Sonic the Hedgehog 2 from the year 2022. Gives the movie a B-. This movie gets a B- for me, which is 80%. Like I said, I think this movie is a fun movie. I was pleased with this movie. Had a good time watching this movie. There are things in this movie that don't really work well for me, like the whole middle section that I had a good time watching, but it's like it definitely took away from the movie. Like it really did. And I'm talking about the spoilers. But the writing, how it started off kind of like your stereotypical movie to a original story by the end of it, I was fine with that. But that first section was like, okay. And then the pop culture references for me don't do it as well. I think the pop culture references won't last the next 10 years. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong and people still praise this movie down the line, but the pop culture references don't do it for me. Like, for example, there's a reference about The Rock and Vin Diesel in this movie, and I was like, why? Why? Why did you even... And another thing, anytime the movie got super serious, I did notice this, they did bring levity into it, like right next to it. Like, you'll be on a scene with the characters, and then they'll cut to another character, and you're like, I kind of want to see how that plays out, but it's fine. It's cool. I'm okay with this, kind of. But other than that, it's a fine movie. It's a kid's movie first. So you go in here trying to point plot holes and point out stuff, because there are plot holes in this movie. But you try to point all that stuff out, you'll be like, you're not going to have a good time. Just go enjoy yourself, turn your brain off. It's a kid's movie first, and you're a gamer, you're going to have a good, if you're a Sonic fan, you're going to love this movie. I think Sonic fans will treasure this movie. Much better than the first one. So yeah, it's a B- for me, which is 80%. IMDb gives it a 7.1, which is a C-, which is 7.1 C-. And then Rotten Tomatoes, which doesn't make any sense to me, but Rotten Tomatoes gives the movie a 67%. That's a D+. But the audience score gives it a 98%, which that's an A+. We'll see how that score changes over time. But yeah, that's what it is at the time of this video, and I'm gonna get into the spoilers. So if you don't want to see spoilers, see you guys in the next episode movie breakdowns. And those for y'all with spoilers, we're about to get into it. Oh, before I get into that, I didn't want to tell you there is an after credit scene, so stay around for that. But now let's go and get into spoilers in 3, 2, 1. First things first, let's talk about the after credit scene. So, like I said, there's this middle part of this movie that seems to be completely different from the rest of the Sonic movie. And it's pretty much, equivalent to Rachel's wedding. She's about to get married to Shamar Moore, and Tom ended up switching the ring doing a magic trick in the movie. He switched the wedding rings and doing a magic trick. But with the wedding ring he switched it out with was one of the teleportation rings that Sonic had. So he's trying to save Sonic, who Sonic's coming down from an avalanche. He's escaping an avalanche, and Tom trying to save Sonic. And he managed to stop the wedding and throw the ring to get Sonic and Tails, safety in Hawaii. When this happens, the government shows up, a secret operation force. I think it's like GUN, like I think Guardians of the United Nations, something like that. I think it's the actual. I could be wrong, but GUN. They show up with all their guns out of nowhere, and I'm like, huh? Why did they choose Rachel to be the one to establish this wedding? Like, what if Tom and Maddie didn't show up to the wedding, which I guess Maddie would, but what if they couldn't make it? Then this whole ploy to spy on Tom and Maddie, who lives in 2 different cities, would never work. But anyway, they did this whole secret agency thing for the setup to the next movie. There will be a 3. There will be a 3rd movie, and that movie will have Shadow in it. Shadow is part of this universe. He is a part of the MCU, the Sonic Cinematic Universe, the MCU, the Sega Cinematic Universe. Shadow exists, and this whole time watching this movie, I kid you not, I'd be like, it would have been so cool to see Shadow in this movie. Like when I saw Knuckles, I was like, oh, I would love to see Shadow in this movie. I would love to see Shadow in this movie. I kept thinking that to myself. And then the after credits scene, we get Shadow. Let's go. One of my favorite Sonic characters is finally going to be on the big screen. And hopefully they stick the landing with this movie, because I am so happy that we're getting this. A live action video game movie that I think is done right. I think the second one's done right. I think the handling of this is good. Sonic the Hedgehog 1 is one of the better video game movies out there. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is better than Sonic the Hedgehog 1. So I think the bar sits up right there now. Like Detective Pikachu and Sonic the Hedgehog 2 are up there with the video game movies. Like I think they're doing well with this. Live action video game too. I think they're doing really, really well with this. So to get Sonic the Hedgehog 3 with Shadow in it, oh, I'm so excited for that. So excited. So excited. So that's what the whole, like I told you, like there's a whole section that I felt like didn't belong in this movie that stars Maddie and Rachel's character, or Maddie and Rachel, which is Natasha and Tika's characters, starring those characters, where they had to rescue Tom and rescue Tails and Sonic, because they get captured by the secret agency and they gotta go get rescued, and they're using Tails' gadget to free everybody, which is it's pretty cool to see them have their moment on screen. Like I think that was the coolest part about it. You get to see them have their moment. But other than that, like I was like, this doesn't belong here. It's really unnecessary, because like I think if you could cut the wedding out the movie and then had the government in Green Hill, which makes more sense because that's where Sonic is at, and when Eggman, Dr. Robotnik starts to use the Chaos Emerald to, I guess, the Master Emerald, but he started using it to create, the giant robot you see in the trailer. The government shows up because they've been watching this whole time. They're prepared for this. I think that makes more sense than doing the whole wedding scene, but you know what? It's fine. It's a kids movie. I keep saying it. It's a kids movie with video gamers in the back of the mind. Because the lore in this movie, like you got, Knuckles and his background and his story and his family. I can't think what Knuckles is, what he is, his backstory, and how Sonic was helped and was under Longfellow, who was the owl in the first movie, and not the Uchidas. Uchidas is Naruto. Itika? Is it Itika? Wherever Knuckles is, but his people. And Longfellow, their people was fighting each other for thousands of years, and Knuckles felt like he lost everything, and he felt like it was kind of like Sonic's and his people's fault. And Sonic's like, dude, I lost everything too. We both lost things. They're both criminals, or not criminals, they're both, what's the word I'm looking for? Victims of war. And they're both homeless, and they're both, on Earth now. So Sonic and Knuckles get a bond out of that, and they work together. And Knuckles is pretty much want to avenge his family, and he realized that, you know what, maybe tagging Sonic was a bad thing. He's actually a good person, and this guy I've been working with this whole movie, Robotnik, is actually a bad person. He gets to see that when Robotnik crosses him. As far as the references in this movie, as far as like the pop culture stuff, I really did not like all the pop culture. Like for example, there's a serious moment there where Tails and Sonic are looking at the history of everything and seeing what the backstory is, and about the emeralds and the Master Stone, and how it's in the wrong person's hand will destroy the universe, and they've been protecting this on Earth as a secret hideout spot. And Sonic sees that at the Tails tells everything, and then Sonic goes, oh, like Vin Diesel and The Rock. And I was like, bro, why? That was not necessary at all. Why did you say Vin Diesel? Who wrote that? Why you put that in there? What kid would get that reference? One of the adults would get it, but the kids, why? But the action sequences in the movie are pretty dope though. Like Sonic versus Knuckles, multiple times in the movie they had pretty cool fights in this movie, and the CGI with those fight scenes was awesome. And then the final fight was kind of cool. But the Chaos Emerald, come back to that, is in, like I said, it's in this movie, and that's what they're trying to get to. That's what Sonic is trying to find, and Knuckles is trying to find, and Dr. Robotnik wants to find, because he can get ultimate power. Power through the veins, unlimited power. Anyway, they all try to find this. They do find this. Robotnik gets it, and Robotnik gets the ultimate power. And then the whole time I'm thinking, this man can float. He can create wherever he wants with his mind. How are they gonna stop him? And Knuckles and Tails, the two people who in this movie were brought into this movie, they team up together and they beat Robotnik for the most part. Like if you're playing Elden Ring or Dark Souls, it's the first battle, and pretty much any video game you think about it, it's the first half of a video game, the final boss battle, where you beat the boss, you think everything's over. Kingdom Hearts with Ansem 3 times, but you think everything's over, and then all of a sudden Robotnik gets back up, and he's about to kill Sonic and Maddie and Tom and the giant robot, about to just crush him. And Sonic uses the emeralds, the Chaos Stones, and becomes Super Sonic. And I was like, this is done right. Like, I don't know, to me it worked. It worked in this movie. It really, truly worked to have Super Sonic in this movie. And I was like, we get to see this on the big screen. I thought we were going to see the next movie, but no, we're getting it today, and I'm eating my popcorn up. It worked so well. It was good stuff. Like, in Super Sonic beats, or Golden Sonic, whatever you want to call them, beats Robotnik, Eggman. Like, I was like, oh man, that's kind of cool. It's kind of cool. Like, I'm down with that. I am down with that. Like, this movie does have a good ending to it. Now, when I said the movie starts off like a generic superhero movie, because you have Sonic, like, gotta learn responsibility, and gotta do, you can't use your powers for just reckless abandon. You have to learn to help others and not just help yourself, and not just feel good about yourself. And then it goes from that to Sonic being kind of irresponsible. He stayed at home by himself, and he's doing all the things he wants, and just like wrecking the house, but he managed to clean it all up super quick. Like, he literally had the carpet soaked. I don't know how he did that. But anyway, then it turned into a, find the search for the MacGuffin thing for a moment. And then after you find the MacGuffin, which happened like in the middle of the movie, and you have that break with the wedding situation, then you get the final piece of the movie where I'm like, okay, I'm down with that. Like, oh, this is alright. This is solid. I'm here for this. I am here for this. One thing I did like, that Sonic can't swim in this movie, and the movie kind of hints at the beginning of the movie, and then it happens again, and Sonic has a moment where he has a run on water. He doesn't make it, but he has a moment where he has to push through it, and I kind of wish that moment had a little more, not levity, a little more oomph to it. I don't know the word I'm looking for. Gravitas. just weight, looking for more weight to it, because it was hinting the movie for a moment, and then he has to run on water, and he's like realizing he can do this, and he's pushing through this, which is one of the cool running on the water scenes, like that one and Dash from The Incredibles are like some two cool scenes. But I wish we had a little more build up on that, because that moment should have been a lot more powerful. But once again, it's a kids movie. It's a kids movie. So kids movie. I get it. It works though. That's kind of all the spoilers I want to talk about. Any other thoughts? Nah, that's about it. Well, thank you guys for hanging around the spoiler talk for Sonic the Hedgehog 2. If you've seen Sonic the Hedgehog, what did you think? Please put in the comment section below. See you guys in the next episode, and keep being awesome. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I really appreciate that. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. If there's a review you want me to watch or do, let me know. Please put it in the comment section below this video. Also, you want to watch the last episode movie breakdowns, it's right there. Just gotta click on it and you'll be able to watch it. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Love y'all, and keep being awesome.